Today I'm going to talk about a common question that comes across, no doubt, every single pharmacy student's mind as they go through pharmacy school. And that question is, should I go to medical school after pharmacy school? So the purpose of this video is not to convince you one way or the other, but to really give you my experience and my rationale on why I ended up choosing not to go to medical school after pharmacy school. So for those of you who don't know, I actually have a blog. I don't write as much as I would like, but I made a blog post about my experience trying to get on the medical school path after pharmacy school. Something to keep in mind is that I wrote the post in 2013 after graduating from pharmacy school as I was about to enter my first year of pharmacy residency. And a lot of the content that I'm going to be talking about today actually comes straight from that post, so keep in mind that perspective as I talk. In the post, I'm reminiscing, and I distinctly remember talking to a couple of pharmacy students back in 2009, right when we first started pharmacy school, about this idea of going into medical school after pharmacy school. And as crazy as that sounds, it was. We even joked about how after we obtained our medical degree, we would still practice as a pharmacist. And I think a lot of it came with the idea that, we were proud to be pharmacists. Now, fast forward to March 2012, and I am in my third year of pharmacy school. University of Florida actually starts their rotations a little earlier, near the latter half of your third year. And I'm going into my clinical rotations. As I went into rotations, the idea of pursuing medical school started to resurface once again, but it was only a small idea. However, as I progressed through my rotations, simply put, I fell in love with medicine. I fell in love with the art of medicine. I just loved it, as simple as that sounds. And then one day, I'll never forget, I was on my transplant rotation. It was only my fourth rotation as a student, keeping in mind I was still a third year student. And I remember walking back along the hallway. I was done with rotations. I was going back to the parking lot, and I was thinking, can I do this every day as a pharmacist, making recommendations for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. Because of that, I definitely was interested in medical school, and I started to do some research. I jumped right into student doctor forums, started searching the medical forums, seeing all these other people who had an interest in medical school after pharmacy school. I talked to a lot of students, residents, doctors, and I looked into the requirements of medical school. One of the best perspectives I got was from Dr. Wayne Nicholson, who is a PharmD MD from the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. He actually completed his PharmD education prior to his medical degree, and he spent an hour on the phone talking with me about some of his experiences, what his thoughts are. He listened to my story, and he made a recommendation. So to summarize our conversation, he basically said, medical school for you is not worth it unless there is something in medicine you can't do as a pharmacist. He loved his job as a pharmacist, and he made a lot of impact. He was actually a critical care pharmacist. Basically what he told me is that, try out pharmacy, see how you like it. You might make a bigger impact than you think. An example he gave was surgery. If you want to be a surgeon, you obviously can't do it as a pharmacist. So that would be one good reason to pursue medical school over pharmacy school, if that is really what you like. My sense was that he was really telling me to think hard about that decision, because if you want to pursue medical school after pharmacy school, there is an extreme amount of time commitment, and there's an extraordinary amount of financial considerations. And it was a rough estimate, but he basically was telling me it would probably be about $1 million if I wanted to pursue that. You gotta think about, I would be already graduating, I would have a pharmacist income, medical school debt, all the money you lost in the years during medical school training. So really consider that. But anyways, I took that to heart, but I still was very interested in the medical field. I actually was interested in trauma surgery. And during my rotations, I started more and more to shadow doctors to get a better perspective of what they did, to ensure I knew that this really is what I want. and it's something I wanted to pursue. And it was, but I needed a plan. At the time of this, I was a few months into rotations. Keep in mind I was still in rotations. It was July at the time. And the plan was to study for my PCAT on my month off. In pharmacy school, you have 12 months of rotations and then 1 month off. Being the crazy, this crazy kid I was, I spent my time off studying for the MCAT, day in, day out, while everyone else went off to like these awesome vacations, went to Europe, went to another universe. They had fun though. And I spent that month studying for the MCAT. But that was my plan, study for the MCAT on my month off in August, take the MCAT in September, and then complete a pharmacy residency between 2013 and 2014. Thought about working right after to save some money, but I really wanted to maintain a strong clinical competence as I entered medical school, so I wanted to do a residency. And then after the residency, I would apply for medical school in 2014. Now, when I was thinking about all of this, it was in July, and I had about 5 days left until I went back to Gainesville for my month off, and I remember being so pumped that I was going to pursue medical school that I actually started studying for my MCAT during my critical care rotation. It was insane. I remember waking up every single day on rotations on that last week. I would wake up at 5 a.m., go to the hospital, work on my patients, finish doing all of my patient care responsibilities and rotation responsibilities. By 4:30, I would then go eat between 4:30 and 5 p.m. Then I would drive over to the bookstore and then study for the MCAT between 5 and 11:30 p.m. every single day using the Princeton Review at the bookstore. I was drained, I was tired, but I was also extremely excited for the path ahead of me. Now, since I only had 1 month to study, I really had to make sure I hit everything as efficiently as possible. So I laid out this strict timeline of every single chapter I need to cover in the Exam Crackers, which is a great book everyone used to study for the MCAT. You actually see the picture here. So I was studying every single day during my month off, but I was pretty disappointed in myself because after every section or chapter or things of that sort, I took the quiz or the test or mini evaluation, and I kept scoring between a 15 to 19 on all of these. For those of you who don't know, that the big score in the MCAT world usually is a 30. Usually if you get a 30, you can get into most medical schools across the nation, and then between 25 and 30 usually is the less competitive medical schools. But you can still get in as well. 30 is the magical number that you really want to try to get. But in any case, I finished all of the sections and I took my first AAMC practice test. By the way, AAMC is one of the gold standards for predicting your ability to score high in MCAT. So I took that test, a full-length test, and I scored a horrible 19. It was sad, after studying for a whole month. I took that test right when I was starting my rotation in Tampa at the end of August. This was exactly 1 week before I had to take my scheduled test in Jacksonville the next week. Even though I felt so disappointed with my score of 19, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do, but I went ahead. One of the weekends, I think it was a Saturday, I drove up to Jacksonville from Tampa, sat for the test, and I was ready to take the real deal, the real MCAT. Right before the test, I made sure I was confident, being confident, and there's a great YouTube video about that. Being confident in yourself, believing in yourself goes a long way. So I was doing that. I was in the test room, I was ready, I was pumped. I just remained confident in my skills despite the low scores I had in the practice test for the MCAT. I applied all of those crazy physics and chemistry formulas. Oh, they're horrible. Yes, I applied all of them. During the month off I had memorized all those crazy formulas that I probably will never use again. And after the test, I didn't think I did that well. I mean, it was just a massive amount of information, but I felt really good about myself because in the end, I tried my best. I put in 110% effort. 1 month later, I received an email from the MCAT folks that the scores were posted. As anxious and nervous as I was, I started to frantically text everyone I knew to delay the inevitable of checking the scores. When I finally checked my score, I was so excited, so excited. I scored a 25. No, I didn't get the score I wanted, but I was extremely proud of myself for being motivated enough to relearn Chem 1, Chem 2, Orgo 1, Orgo 2, Physics 1, Physics 2, Bio 1, Bio 2, and go through that insane month and sacrifice to attempt something that I wanted to pursue because I wanted to do it. And doing so, scoring higher than any of those quizzes and practice exams said I would do. I only took one AAMC practice exam, never went back to review the materials because of time constraints. So now what? The thing was, the day I received my MCAT scores was the same day I also started to have doubts about medical school. And the doubts are because I found out that I had a very low tolerance. It's kind of sad, but I have a very low tolerance for blood and surgical procedures. In between the time of realizing that I wanted to pursue medical school and October of that year, I tried to desensitize myself through a lot of ways. I was on YouTube, I was watching all these nasty, traumatic surgeries, insertions of trachs. I shadowed a ton of surgeons. I was in there garbed up with them, and I think that actually would be a good video to talk about the things I tried to do to desensitize myself, because I nearly fainted so many times watching some of these surgeries. Nevertheless, though, I wanted to become a doctor because I truly wanted to help patients. Now, in my mind, and the rationale was that if I have trouble with blood, I probably won't be the best doctor, and I probably would not be able to provide the best care for my patients. And I remember one of the trauma surgeons that I was talking to was saying that one of the most critical steps and most important steps every doctor should know is how to emergently insert a trach in someone. Because literally that can save someone's life. And again, I'll probably talk about it in a video, but I remember seeing a traumatic trach insertion, and it was really gross. But anyways, in accordance with the quote, "first do no harm," end quote, I decided that I would no longer pursue medical school. Although I am very disappointed that things did not work out, I am still very ecstatic about providing good patient care as a pharmacist. If anything, the experience that I had only strengthened my desire to provide the best patient care to my patients. So that's kind of my story about why I didn't pursue medical school. There's so many students that always ask me whether it's worth it or not to pursue medical school, and I know so many students that are always struggling with this decision, especially with the clinical nature and rigor of pharmacy school nowadays. I do know a couple people that went to medical school after pharmacy school and they love their job. So I think pursue your passions, do what you want. But anyways, this is always a hot topic. If any of you all are going through this, let me know about your experience. Share what you're going through. Share your comments and thoughts. I'm just one person. I would love to hear your thoughts and your feedback on my story, and I'll love to hear some of your stories as well. Alright guys, I'm gonna eat some lunch. Until next time.